It is. All right, so now I'm recording. So today we are working on editing to video and synchronizing sound to events that we see on the video. I was just talking about the time base here. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention is, some of you may see just the seconds or in this case, bars and beats. I'm going to switch it. I just opened up a new project. So I go, I want to switch it to seconds. And it gives me seconds, but then I've got this whole minutes, seconds, and .000, which are actually like thousands of seconds. It could be also registering as frames. Who knows what? That looks kind of strange to me, and I don't necessarily like that. One of the things in Reaper 6 it seems to like to do on some versions, I guess, is to have this dual time base. And you may be all right with that, and you can leave it alone. But if you don't like it, they've managed to bury it in a way that you will probably never be able to find it. So I'm going to show you how to fix it. So you go to View, and you go to Time Unit for Ruler, and then you have to go even further to Secondary Time Unit, and just select None. Could they bury it more? Is that possible? So I'm going to View. I don't know why that is. Time Unit for Ruler, Secondary Time Unit, None. Okay, and let me just go. Actually, let me go to seconds. I didn't to seconds. Secondary time unit. I selected None. It should not have done that. Let's see. Oh, it's because it's doing it on this one. Let me start over. There. That's a little glitch in Reaper. So I happened to have two project tabs open. You can have multiple tabs, multiple projects open, but you have to be careful apparently, because you never know how things may morph from one version of Reaper to the next. So there you go. All right, moving on. So we're going to go ahead and insert that video. I've given people hopefully enough time to find it, download it, and we're going to get it into our project. Okay, so I have the video. I'll go ahead and put that in. And what the assignment is what I want you to do is just, and I'll say this a few times during the course of the lecture, is not looking for an Oscar-winning, mix here. This is an exercise to strengthen your skills in Reaper and synchronizing the video and some other aspects we're going to learn today. So don't stress out about having to have the world's greatest mix. Okay, so let's go ahead and check it out. So when we go to import, we inserted the WMV file. You could have a .mov, you could have a .mp4, okay, QuickTime and MP4 formats, the Windows media format for video, and unfortunately, like not Premiere. Premiere does a nice job of showing you all the frames and everything you have, or Sony Vegas, any of those types of editing programs will have a nice display of the video for you. But unfortunately, Reaper decided, well, it's not that important. This is an audio editor. They don't even have the frames here, unfortunately. But that's one of the few minuses of Reaper, the very few minuses. And I'm sure in time they'll have a nice, at least frame preview here. So we'll just have to deal with this. But we do have a video window. And to get that, you go to View, Video. I almost never do that. I use the shortcut, which is Control-Shift-V, not something that rolls off the tongue easily, but you get used to it. Control-Shift-V, the video window. And I'm going to go ahead and check this out, but before I do, I'm going to also set up a region. And by doing that, I showed you a trick the other day where if you select in this case, the video, hold down Shift and double click, you get a start and end point that matches exactly how long the region, the areas you selected. So go ahead and press play. This is just like the Soundscape lecture, just saying, imagine a blank canvas. What would you do for sound here? And what kind of the fiction behind this exercise is that, if this were a real world situation, I'm going to the game company, going to the client, and they're saying, all right, well, we've got quite a bit of game here. We want to show a vertical slice to the publisher so we can get more funding to continue this game. And this happens quite a bit. You have a milestone or some sort of deadline that you reach. Your funding's about to run out, or you have to justify the case for having a few more $1 million on your project. And so a vertical slice is created. That means that you'll have one section of the game from a small time slice, and that's going to be all the art, the animation, the sound, the gameplay, maybe some discussion about programming in a technical document. And so all that's going to happen in the vertical slice, and that is in a very small scale here is what I'm trying to convey. I would go get a video capture from the game, or they would provide me with one or a larger one if they're going to show a true vertical slice. And I would want to go ahead and just do a mock-up of what the audio engine would actually be. So we're on sea, so we're going to have some wind, right? We're going to need some water crashing against the ship. The ship wheel's going to turn, right? That you may want to have a sound for that. That could be anything you can imagine. It could be just the sound of a creaking wood peg, or creaking wood chair, I should say, like an old rocking chair. Maybe it's the sound of a metal ratchet or something that kind of snaps back every time a small turn of the wheel, a couple of degrees has gone past. It's totally up to you. And then all of those sounds, there's also the wind hitting the canvas of the sail. That's something you could do. You could put in there. So I want to think of two things. Let me just stop it here. There's the image, the spatial image of everything we see, which we call a diegetic sound. Diegetic sound is anything on camera or in our field of vision that we can see. Non-diegetic is, of course, the opposite. It's what we can't see. It doesn't mean that the object exists. If this were a video game, we could just have an invisible object flying by, which is something I've done before. Like in either an Unreal or Unity, you could set up an invisible object that has a kind of a listener on it, which is the some sort of particle effect of audio. Maybe it's a waterfall or something. So you have the graphic of a waterfall, but the sound itself is an invisible object that's just generating audio. And if this were a seagull, maybe I don't actually have a seagull animation asset. I just have the sound, and I can just have an invisible object fly past the camera, left to right or right to left, or even behind or in front of the ship. And that could be our seagull, and we could have it panning around and so forth. We could simulate that in this video by using pan control. So where should we go from here? Well, this is going to be up to you. I'm going to show you how Freesound works if you haven't seen it yet. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the share and go right to Freesound. Where are you, Freesound? There we go. All right, should be here. I can't quite get to it, so I'll just open a new tab. There we go. So freesound.org has hundreds of thousands of sounds, if not over 1 million sound effects. And it just is just run by contributions, right? It's just all sounds that are mostly free to use. I say mostly because if you are going to make your own game and get sounds from here, oftentimes you'll need some sort of attribution, made by the sound gurus or something like that. And you have to just give a credit where credit is due. But there are all types of recordings, and by that, file formats, different sampling rates, different bit depths, and also different engineering skills. So you get what you pay for, right? You're going to have, I think 20% of all free sound effects are like bathroom sounds or horrible stuff. So aside from that, the other 80% may be something that'd be worth listening to. But again, quality is all over the place. So you'll really want to make sure you find a good quality audio clip to work with. In this case, we need a whole bunch. So let's look, let's look for wind. Why not? I'll type in the word wind. Now, as I said, there are hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million sound effects here. If I type in wind, I'm going to get a lot of results. I've got 11,446 sounds. I'm not going to listen to all those, So I may want to increase my search criteria. And if you were contributing a sound to a library of some kind, in this case, the Freesound database, you're going to have a search based on the name of the file, which is wind, but also the metadata. So there'll be some sort of adjectives or nouns or to describe what this sound effect is. And there may be a whole bunch of unseen terms we just don't know about. Unfortunately, any library is only as good as the quality of the sounds, of course, but also the search criteria, the metadata, which is a shame because if you type in the metadata wrong, if you're contributing something, someone may never find that term. They'll never work. So wind is not enough here. I'll say wind at sea. Just probably make this up. Anything? How about just wind and sea? There we go. Big waves hit land. No. Sea breeze, birds. That's too many things. That would be cheating. I don't want you to have everything all at once. Waves and wind. All right. Well, let's just see what happens. What's it all about? Click on this. That's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. That's something I might want to download and keep. So I'll click download. And it will put it in my, right now it's just set up to go in my downloads folder. And this is how you would kind of build up a bunch of sounds. You listen to some. I might want to have seagulls. That's going to be kind of a big one. And I've got Flock of Seagulls, right? Most popular, of course, like the band from the 80s. And I'll go ahead and click on that. It's going to be loud, I bet. Nope, not too bad. That's a good one. Notice it's one channel. That's something I could use for panning around because you could consider it a point source. Imagine a whole bunch of seagulls acting as like kind of one giant point, and they're moving from side to side with the ship. It's a simple way to get some imagery going. If this were a real implementation in middleware of an audio engine, then I might want to have different objects circling in different directions. But for now, I'll just go ahead and download that and say we could play with the panning on that one. And so on and so forth. You'll be stacking these tracks together. I would categorize the tracks as things like, have one track just be waves or waves and wind. Another track, maybe you want exclusively for wind, depends on what you find. Another track just for any seabirds, seagulls, any kind of bird you want to have in there. And maybe another track for the wheel turning, okay? Just so you have peace of mind, you can think sanely about this edit that you're constructing. So let's go in. All right, here we go. Thank you. So I imported the video. I have my video window open. And one thing I might like to do is instead of saying, oh, I'm going to insert everything on one side, because you wouldn't have seen this. All these sounds, whether they're waves, MP3s, AIFFs, and I want them all at one track, I can do that, but it's just going to be unwieldy, especially if we have long length files. I got to really just plow through all these. A better way to do it might be, and this is again up to you, it's your workflow, is a Media Explorer. So I'll go to View, Media Explorer, and it will automatically automatically play back the file that I choose. So let's go to Waves on Rocks. That's a good sound. What about an alternate one? And I can just scan through them. So a whole bunch of options. And so once I find a sound file I like say Waves on Rocks, I can just click and drag, left click and drag, and it'll just bring it right into my project. Bang, just like that. If I wanted to have just a portion of it, I was confident that I didn't need any more than, say, 12 seconds, because I've got a 12-second clip here. I can just select an area in that Media Explorer and just pull it in. And there it is. And now that's all that you're allowed, because I've made a selection. So if I were to take a look by trimming out, I could see a divot, a detent in there. That means that's all that I'm allowed to use. And that actually is kind of its own unique region that I'm moving around. Otherwise, you can just not do that. I tend to not take selections. I try to bring the whole thing in just in case I need a little more. And so that might be a way that increases your workflow a bit. But again, you don't have to use this. It's just a nice feature that they offer you. All right. So I'll close this for a moment.